In this video, I'm going to walk you through step-by-step how to set up your freelance business as a creative professional from a business standpoint and administrative standpoint. So hang on, it's going to be a long video, I know that, but it's going to be worth the time to get you step-by-step to launching a successful business. Coming at you right now. If you're new to the channel, my name is Benji Kaiser. This is where you're going to find the best tech and tools for creative professionals. So if that sounds like your kind of place, consider subscribing and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the future videos. Right now, we're talking about setting up a freelance business as a creative professional. This video is sponsored by Wave Apps. They are the service that I use in order to do all the accounting, invoicing, payroll, all the things that revolve around my creative freelance business. Wave Apps is a free software. However, if you want to take full advantage of their services, you'll be charged a small percentage every time you run a payment through their system. So whether that's an ACH bank transaction or a credit card transaction, they will take a small percentage of that transaction. If you run your payments outside of Wave Apps, let's say somebody sends you a check, or you receive cash, Wave Apps will not take a percentage away from that payment. Like I said, I know this is gonna be a long video, but hang in there with me because I'm gonna do this in two phases. Basically, we're gonna start from ground zero, getting things set up, deciding on what your niche is going to be, getting that first client, moving forward. And then once you start having some revenue coming in, okay, now setting up your business and your bank account and your LLC or your partnership or your sole proprietor or whatever it might be, we're gonna take this as a step-by-step phase so we don't get overwhelmed and we tackle things in the correct order. I made a lot of mistakes with the order when I was first getting set up, so that's something I wanna help you avoid. For a brief overview, we're going to discuss the following topics. And I will note that you're free to hop around to whatever topic interests you, but I don't recommend doing that. You can, in the timestamps below, click the sections that you want. But again, I recommend this being a step-by-step process for you so you don't miss out on any of the important steps. We're going to be talking about setting up your niche offering, defining your brand, pricing structures, project proposals, invoicing, how to make sure you get paid, accounting, when to incorporate bank accounts and business addresses, and when to consider hiring more people. Now, note, a full disclaimer is this is not legal advice. This is just simple business freelance guidance. If you want legal advice, I definitely recommend talking to a lawyer or a CPA or somebody who legally has been certified to give you guidance on these topics. If you comment below, I am more than happy to answer your questions. Please comment below. I love to interact. But if you ask a question that is leaning on the sides of legal or like in-depth business advice, which totally changes from state to state, if you're in the US and if you're in the world, it's even, it's even more different. If you're in the UK or India, Brazil, Canada, wherever you might be, it's going to be even far more different. So again, not legal advice. Reach out to a certified lawyer or CPA if you have any of those in-depth questions. All right, legal disclaimer over. Let's dive in. Step one, picking your niche. This is the single most important thing you can do when starting your freelance business. I'm going to use the example of a graphic designer throughout this video, but if you're a photographer, video editor, illustrator, motion designer, whatever it might be, this still fits into the wheelhouse. I just need to keep a solid, simple example throughout this video. So we're going to use the example of a graphic designer. And no, if you're a graphic designer, the answer is not, I'm a graphic designer who does everything for everybody no matter what. I can do web design, I can do logos, I can do brochures, I can do social media. When you do that, you become nothing to nobody. By becoming everything to everybody, it really means nothing in the grand scheme because nobody, looks at you and says, hey, I want Frank, Thomas, Marcus Aurelius for this specific task, and he is the one you need to go to if you want that done in your business. That's not going to happen if you're the generalist. I'm going to give an example. I have my bachelor's and master's degree in graphic design. I've been in the graphic design industry for over a decade between my schooling and professional career, but I don't do logo design. I don't like logo design. I'm not interested in logo design. I don't really feel I'm good at logo design. So if somebody comes to me and says, Ben, I need you to design me a logo, I say, okay, hold on right there. First of all, I don't do that. But second of all, I have the perfect guy for you. His name's Andrew. Why is his name Andrew? Well, because his name actually is Andrew. Andrew is my go-to for logo design. I always say you gotta use Andrew. And why do I say that? Well, he spent the past 10 years honing his craft in logo design. I truly think he is the best. And on that recommendation, I can be confident that they're going to get the best quality service with the best quality product. Because when you think about a recommendation, if you're a designer, photographer, video editor, when somebody recommends you, they're putting their reputation on the line. So if you're just a generalist and you're okay at a bunch of things and somebody thinks, oh yeah, I've heard that Frank or Marcus Aurelius or Thomas has done graphic design before, I'm sure they could do a logo for you. They're taking a risk when making that recommendation. It's anytime we recommend a product. If I recommend the camera I'm using right now, a Fujifilm, to you, and it doesn't turn out to be a good camera, who are you going to come after? Well, you're going to come after your recommendation, me. So reputation upon recommendation is crucial. And that's why you have to be known for a specific niche and be the best at that niche. And, as you work into that relationship with the client that you get, you can say, hey, we've done this logo for you. Now are you interested in doing maybe some merch design? Or, do you want to take this logo and turn it into some social media posts and some branded content? I would love to do that. Something my friend Andrew does. He brings them in because he's an expert logo and brand identity designer. But then he says, hey, can we expound this for you? Is there any way we can work together on maybe, a monthly basis to create more content for you? So focus is the key. The first step is picking your niche. Step number 2 is defining your brand. And whether you're a one-man band or you're wanting to set up, an design agency for our graphic design example, you need to define what you do and how you do it. The perfect resource for this is a book called Story Brand by Donald Miller. Basically, he is emphasizing the need for you to present your offering in a way that is clear and tangible to the client. It tells them what they're going to get out of the relationship with you. I could go really in depth on the whole Story Brand formula, but really reading the book I think is going to make a big difference in your business. One of the biggest mistakes I made as a young graphic designer was thinking that my design was all of the visual, that the wording really wasn't important, but really the visual is what carries the wording. The wording is crucial, and the visual is what carries my message. Simply saying, I'm a graphic designer, hire me, is not enough. It's not compelling. Think about it. You don't go to Starbucks because they have amazing coffee, because by the way, they don't. You go to Starbucks because it is a nice environment to sit and work and listen to chill tunes and also have a decent coffee while you're at it. I have swapped the names, but kept the copy of the following graphic design website headlines. I'm going to read off these examples to you. Gray Design Group is a multidisciplinary studio involved in projects from marketing and branding to illustration and hospitality design. So what do? They do a lot of different stuff. Are they the expert in one thing? Not really. They're a multidisciplinary studio. All right, here's the next one. D Street Designs. Joining forces with agencies and businesses to create memorable brand identities. Bam, to the point, to the punch. What do? They join up with businesses and agencies to create brands that you remember, period. That's something I want. I want a brand to be remembered. All right, number 3, Yellow Dot Designs. Dedicated to engaging the hearts and minds of your audience. A little more elusive, but definitely communicates what I'm going to get if I hire you. I'm going to get design that helps engage the hearts and minds of my audience. So right there you see that the second 2 brands or the second 2 design agencies have a clear understanding of what they're offering to their clients. They understand their branding. Telling a story with your copy is a recipe to landing a client. Don't tell me who you are. Tell me who I'm going to become because of the relationship I'm going to have with you. Why will working with your agency turn my brand into who I want to become? Your work is important, but when it goes unsupported by your mission, it leads to confusion. If you're just featuring your work without your clear message, you're making a grave mistake. I mean, even Blind Studio, the studio that has been established by Chris Do, he's become famous on YouTube, but he has worked with clients like Sony, Microsoft, Xbox, just to name a few, realizes that in order to sell, you have to speak. I love his headline on their website. It says, "We help brands and businesses gain a competitive advantage in the connected world." So immediately he displays a value proposition that helps motivate the client to work with him. So many design studios that work with big brands these days, feature that brand on their website, but like what did they do for that brand? Did they like design one little card, that went on the bathroom door? So brands that you work with are impressive, but it's not as impressive as your ability to communicate clearly the value that you're going to bring. Somebody who has a thick portfolio might not be as attractive as somebody who listens to their client and gives a very good value proposition that will happen when the relationship between client and creator takes place. It's not enough to just say, hey, I've worked with all these big clients, come work with me. I mean, what are you going to do for their brand? Don't speak all this creative ease. Speak in layman's terms. Propose value. It's going to go a lot farther for you. Remember, you don't want to alienate your client to make them think it's all about you and how big and amazing your agency is. So it's all about communication, not creative confusion. Again, story brand, definitely get it, read it. I'll link it up in the description below. Pricing, how much should you charge? This is one of my favorite topics because it's so overlooked by freelancers when they go into their business. They don't really take the time to set up a solid pricing structure from the get-go. Whatever you're doing, triple it, like right off the bat. And the reason that I think that's so important is designers so often undercharge for their work. And I believe very much in like the Chick-fil-A model, which is either charge full price or give it away for free. If you give it away for free, you own that relationship. If you charge full price, you own that relationship. Either way, you won't get a resentment. If you give a discount, you're going to be upset if they're taking too much of your time. But if you gave away your work for free, either you have set up that expectation in yourself, or you can quit the job at any time because, hey, you were just simply doing a favor. It was a free service. Whereas if you charge full price, it will motivate you to work harder, to work faster, and in a sense, give a better quality product to that client. All right, now let's talk about pricing structures. There is 3 basic pricing structures that you can go about. You can do hourly, you can do project-based, or you can do retainer. I recommend ignoring the first one and going with the latter 2. Hourly, never charge hourly. I'll repeat, do not charge hourly. It has never benefited the client or the creative. The reason being is if you're a productive creator and you can get your work done at a faster pace, why should that punish you? Why should it punish you for bringing quality work to the table at a shorter amount of time? And on the flip side, why should a client pay for you to be slow? I mean, if you're going to take 16 hours to do an 8-hour project, why should the client pay for that? And the same thing, if you can do an 8-hour project in 2 hours, why should you be shortcutting yourself that much money? Hourly just isn't an efficient way to do it. You're going to have some clients that say, like, I want to see, the pricing structure and the breakdown and all that. You can, create different pricing structures that don't rely on an hourly basis. Now, if they want an hourly, you're going to have to, in a sense, take your project fee and then break it up into what it would cost hourly. And, you can do that. I recommend not doing that. Say, I don't do hourly. I have a project by project pricing structure, or I have a retainer pricing structure. It just gets murky when you do hourly. The project-based fee, basically a structure that you build, like I was discussing, that allows you to build out what fits best for your client. So I've made up a few pricing structures here as an example. So let's say you have a $1,500 logo design package. This will be for a logo graphic designer. So 3 logo variations, 1 revision, and 1 final draft, $1,500. All right, you have a second package, $3,000 for 5 logo variations, 2 revisions, 1 final draft, 3 color variations, and 1 branding guide. All right, $6,000, 5 logo variations, 3 revisions, 1 final draft, 3 color variations, a branding guide, and merch design. So you can see you can build out different packages for your clients to choose from. So, they can, get in at the entry level, medium, or high. Pricing structures are really nice because it allows individual clients, depending on their budget, to still work with you in a respective, budget category. Or perhaps you establish pricing based on the company's size. I know some designers that do that. Based on the value that it's going to bring the company, they kind of work with their pricing. So say if they're going to work with a nonprofit and they like to, price nonprofits at a lower rate to kind of help them out, they might do that. And if they work with a Fortune 500 or 5,000 company, they might boost up their price when it comes to working with a larger company. Some designers kind of play packages by the value of the company they're working with. I personally am not huge on this pricing structure, but as you get into those big clients, it makes sense. They're going to have a lot of expectations. You're probably going to run into a lot of revisions, so you can, kind of work with it depending on the client. All right, the retainer. This type is really cool, especially as you're getting started and you're needing more consistent business. Retainer is nice because you can have monthly recurring revenue. It's really helpful to have, 3 or 4 retainer clients and then kind of bring in those projects from time to time so you can kind of boost your income, but the retainer keeps that residual coming in. A lot of times the biggest thing that freelancers struggle with is keeping money consistently coming in the door. It's kind of the feast or famine mentality. Whereas if you can get some solid retainer clients on a month-to-month basis, you can really curve that struggle. All right, now for the project proposal. Now that you've secured your pricing structure and you've talked to some clients, it's time to set up the project proposal. Now, hopefully by now you've already met with your client, had a meeting with them. If you haven't, it's really important to do. You should definitely add that step into your process. The initial client meeting is really crucial for establishing the vibe of the client and their expectations. So this meeting is somewhere you want to listen extensively. This is not a meeting where you want to talk about all the clients you worked for and how you're going to kill it for them and your design is the best and you. It's about them. You open your ears and you listen to their desires. Who do they want to be known as? What do they want their logo, their website, their video to present their company, their brand image, their idea of themselves to the world? If you're listening and taking good quality notes, then when you propose the project to the client, you can, in a sense, regurgitate the things that they have said to let them know you were listening and to let them know that you are ready to propose them in a way that communicates their overall vision and goals. If it's just all about you, you're not going to land the client because they want to know that you've heard them, capture their vision, and are moving the needle forward. This has a lot to do, again, with this story brand idea that you are there to be their guide. You're not there to be their hero and make all the right moves and do everything for them. They're the hero of their story, and you're there as a guide to get them to the point of success. And so that's why this initial meeting is all about listening. So the next question is, how do we actually set up the proposal? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to dive into Wave Apps right now and walk through a proposal setup. They're super simple to do, and I'll just walk you step by step. So if you want to go ahead and get a Wave Apps account, they're totally free to sign up. You can head out in the description below and click that link and walk through step by step setting up a proposal with me to practice this part of the process. So we're going to dive in right now. So if you need to go ahead and get logged in, you can pause here, get logged in, and then keep moving the video forward. So now we're going to go to Estimates. Click Create a New Estimate. And I'll choose the customer, which I've already added to my system. It's a phony customer, just for the example. And we'll name this Branding Project. Next, I'll choose the name of the project. These are some predefined packages that I've already built. So it adds the price to the package and a basic description. You can always add more details later. Click Save. Nice, it creates a very simple, basic, but well-designed template. Review it, make sure all the information is correct, and then I'll send via email. I'm just going to add my community email here so I can receive this to my inbox and we can check it out. Click Send, and head on over to my email, and it looks great. Email comes in good. Basic structure of the subject line. Enter in and check out the proposal, and there it is. So there's your basic branding proposal for a client. All right, now that we've done the proposal, let's say they've reviewed the proposal, they said it looks great, they said yes, I want to move forward with this project. Now we need to invoice them and get that payment. Never start a project without first receiving payment. This is a mistake that I've made in the past and many other designers and creatives alike have made, and you can end up empty-handed on a project. You can invest 5, 10, 20 hours into a project because you're just so excited that they said yes, but you didn't receive payment. So we're going to talk about a few ways to set up the invoices and how the pricing structure will play out. And you can do this all inside of Wave Apps. So the first invoice structure is 50-50. That's 50% of the money up front and then 50% of the money at the end of the project. So before you ever begin, you get 50, and before you ever deliver, you get 50%. The second is upfront, so you get the entire project upfront. A lot of times designers will do this at a discount just to get money in the door if they're running low on revenue for the month. They'll say, okay, I'll give you X% discount if you pay upfront. I personally don't like this. I'd rather get 50% and 50%, so 100% of my whole fee, then get 80% upfront. Just personal, but sometimes you can't, that can't happen. You have to pay bills. You got to keep things moving. So sometimes you have to do that upfront discount. Another way is a monthly retainer, as we discussed earlier. So somebody pays monthly for consistent agreed upon assets and design services, and you get a monthly fee for that. And the third way is payments. So payments start before the project begins. You don't ever start working before you get that first payment, and then they're paid for, say, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or however long it takes for them to pay off the designs that you've made for them. All right, now let's jump into Wave Apps and show you how you can get this stuff set up. So getting back into Wave Apps, you go to Launchpad, Professional Invoicing, Create Invoice, and let's go. From there, you can customize the branding as you so choose. Continue in further. Start off by selecting a customer, which you can pre-build into the software. Set different invoicing numbers, and then actually add items. You can have pre-built packages in the software as well to just really speed up this whole process. You can add any extra details you want. Make sure everything looks good though, and continue. From there, we're going to overview this draft, and then we'll click Approve Draft. And then from there, we can send the invoice. Coming from Ben at Benji Kaiser, sending to community at benjikaiser.com. And click Send. Now we'll head on over and check the email. I really like how this email comes in. I think it looks really clean, really professional. So we'll click Review and Pay. I really like the UI of the payment center. You can pay by either credit card or you can pay by ACH bank payment. So really clean, really simple, helps you get those payments faster. All right, now let's talk about accounting. When it comes to setting up a freelance business, you want to make sure you have your accounting organized very well. One of the mistakes that I see people make is they end up, thinking they're making all this money. Let's say they bring in $5,500 worth of revenue, but they actually spent $3,000. Well, technically they only made $2,500. And that's a really simple, A plus B concept. But if we don't properly track it, you don't know if you actually made money or not. So tracking is really important, and using the Wave Apps software with your invoicing allows you to see what money comes in, see what money goes out. Especially when it comes to hiring people, you need to know how much you're paying contract workers and if that is actually lucrative. If you're making enough to pay that person as much as your revenue coming in. Having all of your business expenses inside of Wave Apps related to all the income that you're making and what you're spending and who you're hiring is really helpful when it comes to tax season. This is something that I didn't do beforehand. I had to keep track of it all manually. So if you just get it inputted and stay up to date on it, then when it comes to tax season, you're not overwhelmed trying to remember, okay, who did I hire? How much did I make? How much did I pay for that software? We have the Adobe Creative Suite. We have, email software. We have a texting service, whatever it might be for your business. And how much did all those expenses add up to? How much can I write off? How much did I spend on rent? So say if you're renting a location to keep your studio, those things need to be kept track of for your taxes, and Wave Apps just helps you simplify that. All right, now we're going to jump into phase 2. You picked your niche, you've gotten clients, you've grown your business, and now we're moving on into a larger business structure. Filing for an LLC or sole proprietorship is the first thing we're going to start off with. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is not legal advice. So I am going to give you business advice. Another thing that I'll mention, I'm looking over my bookshelf because I have a book I really like called SYOB. It's by an entrepreneur. It's called Start Your Own Business. And again, it's business advice. It's not legal advice, just like this is not legal advice, but it's helping you make the right moves as you're starting your business. When I talk about LLC and sole proprietorships, this is stuff that, is general ideas. This isn't like in-depth state-by-state law discussions or worldwide laws. This is something just getting you thinking in order to make some of the right decisions. But again, counsel with a lawyer or CPA for the full disclosure and details on what is the right move for you. All right, so the first one is the sole proprietorship. This is an easy step into freelancing. Basically, according to the state I live in, your yearly taxes will be counted as contract work. So you're just basically contracting to people. You can easily file in TurboTax. It's not a huge deal. I've done this in the past. Or just your local tax service in your city. And when it comes to building a long-term freelance business, I do not recommend this structure. The reason being is it doesn't help you ward off legal situations as much as, say, the next business structure we're going to talk about. It makes you assume all the legal responsibilities on yourself because you're just a contract worker. You don't have any umbrella protection from a corporation or a business structure. So let's say, you tripped over a microphone cord and you're a photographer at a wedding and you knocked over the cake, and now like the bride's coming after you for, emotional trauma and trying to sue you for the entire cost of her wedding. This stuff has happened. Maybe not that exact situation, but I've heard of photographers losing their entire business because of something that happened at a wedding venue, or, they did something, a creator did something wrong with data or video, or something happened where the backlash came onto them and they lost their entire business. And when you're a sole proprietor, your personal assets are connected all the way through. There's no business and personal. Everything's together. And so they could come after your car, your house, whatever it might be, your assets, and they could pull everything from you because you didn't properly hedge yourself separate from your business, and they'll take anything they can to pay back the damages that you've done. Okay, so that's why I don't recommend a sole proprietorship. But like I say, this is not full legal advice. This is just getting your ideas flowing on how to move forward with filing your business. All right, the next business structure that's pretty simple to set up as far as in the States is concerned is an LLC, a limited liability corporation. Now, all of the risks are assumed by the corporation. Your business assets and your personal assets are separate. I highly prefer this structure because that way my business and my personal life can't mesh. If something messes up in my business, they can't come after my personal assets. It's a lot of things that you hear these days, like companies filing bankruptcy and then somehow that person's still super rich. Well, it's because it's a business that failed, not that person that failed. Not didn't fail, but just got into situations that they couldn't get out of, or legal dispositions, or whatever it might be. Okay, so you can still run your taxes, through your personal taxes. It's not this huge, monstrous corporation arm that happens when you file a huge like S Corp or C Corp. So LLC keeps things very simple on that landscape. Like I said, it's a high-level overview of business structures. I really recommend the book SYOB, or speaking directly to a business lawyer or CPA in your local town that can help you structure your business. All right, bank accounts. So after you file for your business structure, you can then start a bank account. This, I think, is even more crucial than starting the business for me personally, just because I like to keep my personal expenses and just life separate from my business expenses. And so by setting up a separate bank account, money comes in, money goes out. Personal, you can pay yourself a salary, and then you're not confused on how much money is in each place. Having personal and business accounts separate really helps you with that transitional from corporate life to full-time freelance. It helps you, working part-time to kind of phase out of the corporate into, okay, how much is my business making that's actually making a difference in my personal account? And so it's just helpful to keep those two things separate. You want to get into the habit of tracking expenses separately so you understand how much of my business actually making, when can I take the leap and be full-time freelance. Setting up a business address is another important thing for ranking in Google My Business. A lot of people will say, well, I'm working from home, why don't I just set up my home account? Well, some people don't like having their personal home address in their business. I understand like kind of that, wanting to separate personal life and business life. And also sometimes Google gets weird about personal home addresses being business addresses, especially if it's not like in the proper category or zoning. And so by setting up a personal business address, even at like a UPS store or a post box or something like that, depending on your local town and what they have offering, even a co-working space can have a business mailbox for you, and then you can have your mailing address there and set up your Google My Business to that spot and that location. So when somebody searches like graphic designer New York or graphic designer Brooklyn, and you have a business address with a Google My Business, and you're writing articles and producing content that talk about your business, that will give you better ranking in Google, and you'll pop up and get more clients. So big bonus there. Hiring talent. At what point should you hire and grow your business? Now, one of the most valuable aspects in a company is business development. So there's two types of designers. Designers that are good at getting new clients, and designers that need help getting new clients. Depending on who you are, you want the opposite. So if you're really good at getting new clients, then you want to hire some creative help. If you're a really good creator, but you struggle at getting new clients, then you're going to want to hire somebody who can help bring in new work. That's going to be your first hire, because without more business, it makes no sense to hire people. So that first hire should be somebody who brings in work, and then as more work comes in, then hire somebody who's creative to help support you in the creative aspect of the business. Overall, the best tip I can give you in setting up your freelance business is making sure that your admin aspects are set up and solid. Wave Apps is an awesome tool, an awesome free tool to help you on that journey of really refining the admin side of your business. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the future videos. I'm Benji Kaiser of benjikaiser.com. Again, Wave Apps link in the description below. Just sign up for your free account, and I'll see you here on the next episode.